Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to a closed session meeting of the Salisbury City Council. At this time, I'll read the notification for the closed session. The Salisbury City Council will convene an open session on Tuesday, January 17th at 4 p.m. to entertain a vote to convene into closed session to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom this public body has jurisdiction, or any other personnel matter that affects one or more specific individuals in accordance with the Annotated Code of Maryland 3-305B1. Both the open session and closed session will be located in the council chambers of the Government Office Building. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Boda made the motion. Ms. Jackson was the second. I'll call the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The chair votes aye. We are in closed session with a vote of 5-0. Good afternoon, everyone. We have just come out of a closed session at 4:18 p.m., and we are now going to go into a brief work session. And first up on the agenda this evening is Finance Director Keith Cordry talking about a budget amendment to appropriate funds for the Town Square project. Mr. Cordry?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So we have a budget ordinance to remove $1.1 million for the service center that was passed in the FY23 budget, since it was determined that it would not be necessary. And then we have two items that we have determined will be necessary. One is $900,000 for vehicles, some of which are sanitation vehicles and other vehicles for field operations department. And then an additional $200,000 for the Town Square project. So we're removing 1.1 million and adding 200,000 and 900,000.
Any questions or comments from the council members?
No.
I think it's good. The one thing that we've been very good at under Mr. Cordry is finding money in other areas so that we don't have to increase our debt. And this is a prime example of that. So thank you, Mr. Cordry. If there's no questions or comments, do we have consensus to move it forward?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Mrs. Nichols, could you make sure that's on the agenda? Thank you, Mr. Cordry.
Thank you.
Next up, we have a budget amendment to appropriate funds for the restoration of the Paleo Wellfield project. Department of Infrastructure Director Rick Bolin will take us through that one. Good evening, Rick.
The budget amendment request for Paleo Well 2 is for the redevelopment of the well. This was originally planned to take place in 2024, but under the operations of the well, the production of it is declining due to the minerals, et cetera, that are pumped from that well. So the request is for $195,000, which also includes removal of the pump, the motor, cable, inspection, and redevelopment of the well.
Any questions or comments from the council members?
What's the time frame on that work being completed?
Since we're still in construction of Paleo Well 3, we want to have that online before taking Paleo Well 2 offline, so it would be performed this summer.
And how long will it take, do you know, roughly?
It takes about 4 weeks,
4 weeks. Okay,
start to finish, for contractors on site
so pretty much the fall
by the time.
by the time we're done. Okay. Any other questions from the council?
No.
Do we have consensus to move that forward?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, thank you. We have one more for you. Mrs. Nichols, could you? And Mrs. Nichols came up and reminded me, and rightfully so, that I neglected to say what we discussed, and we discussed an appointment in that closed session meeting, so that makes it official now. Okay. Next up on the agenda, we have a budget amendment to accept FY23 MDOT Bikeways Grant. And again, Rick Boland will take us through that one.
Maryland Department of Transportation Bikeways Program has awarded the city of Salisbury 3 grants. 2 grants are for design and improvement of the rail trail, and the third grant is for a citywide pedestrian and bike counting program. Each of these grants also has a matching fund. The first grant, for the rail trail, consists of $139,700 for design of phases 2 and 3. There is a $40,000 matching fund. Second is $100,000 for the construction of the Armstrong Parkway connector. There is a $101,700 matching fund. And the third grant for the bike and pedestrian counting program is $49,334 in grant funds with a $12,336 matching fund. The bicycle and pedestrian counting program is the first in the state. The state's anxious to see how this turns out, so we will be reporting data for them for 5 years.
Question, this does not incur any debt, obviously, in the city, correct?
That's correct. There are funds available in the operating funds for these programs.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay, so the funds are available. Any questions or comments from the council?
I have one.
Right ahead.
The $100,000 for the construction of the Armstrong Parkway connector, where is the Armstrong?
It's at the end of Northwood Drive over to Armstrong, and it completes a final connection and eliminates some hazardous crossings.
Any other questions? Hearing none, do we have consensus to move it?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Boland. Appreciate it. Ms. Nichols, can we make sure that's on the agenda? That concludes the work session items on the agenda this evening. And I think we'll hold the administration and council remarks until after the special meeting, if that's okay. I will now read the notice of the special meeting. In accordance with SC 2-4 of the Salisbury City Charter, a majority of the City Council have called a special meeting to be held on Tuesday, January 17th, for the purpose of considering the appointments for a position or positions. The special meeting will be held at approximately 5:05, we're a little early, immediately following the adjournment of the regularly scheduled work session, which is scheduled to begin at 4:30 p.m. The public is invited to attend in person in the council chambers of the government building at 125 North Division Street, Salisbury, Maryland, or by joining the Zoom meeting at the link below. And we have several people that were on the Zoom meeting. So we will begin. I'd like to call the meeting to order, and I'd like to make a brief safety announcement. If for some reason during the meeting an emergency arises, we ask that you please leave the chamber in an orderly fashion, make a right-hand turn, go to the end of the hallway and down the stairs. If for some reason that exit is blocked, make a left-hand turn out of the chamber, then a right-hand turn to the end of the hall and down the stairs. Please do not use the elevators if there is an emergency. If you need assistance, please ask and it will be provided to you. Thank you. I'll call a motion and a second to adopt the legislative agenda.
So move.
Second.
Ms. Jackson, Mrs. Gregory. All those in favor of the legislative agenda as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The chair votes aye. The legislative agenda is approved by a vote of 5-0. At this time, I'd like to acknowledge Mayor Day and ask him to give a few remarks in his statement.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen of the council, often the gravity of the moment doesn't hit you until right before it. One of the characteristics of serving in public office and maybe as mayor for 10 years, or one of the effects, I guess I should say, is I don't really get nervous anymore. But it's not lost on me the weight of the moment. And so forgive me if I'm a little emotional right now. Because I don't want to repeat myself, and at 6 p.m. today, there will be a press conference in this room, which you're all welcome to stay for, I hope you will, where we'll reveal to the public all of these changes, and I'll share some thoughts and reflections on the last 10 years, only for about 10 minutes. I promise we won't keep you here all night. But because I don't want to repeat myself, I thought maybe right now all I would do is read the letter that I wrote to the city council. And I'll use that as my introduction into the next item and the item on the agenda. Dear members of the Salisbury City Council, in my first 40 years of life, I had no higher aspiration or greater desire than to serve as your mayor. Our citizens permitted me to fulfill that desire for 8 years. I'm supremely grateful that they placed their trust in me and that they allowed me to work as your partner for the last decade as mayor and as council president. Today, Governor-elect Wes Moore announced that he selected me to serve as the next Secretary of Housing and Community Development for the state of Maryland. While I take great pride in that appointment, I take no pleasure in its implication for my tenure as mayor. Therefore, this letter serves as notice of my resignation effective January 27th, 2023. All that we have achieved in the course of the last decade must not be put at risk, and all that we have guaranteed in our future must not be forsaken due to this single transition and its second and third order effects. We can and must continue our historic and breathless trajectory over the years to come by trusting the future to those who have been busy making it. After serious deliberation, I nominate and ask the City Council to appoint John R. Jack Heath to serve as mayor for the remainder of my term through the next regular city election on November 7th, 2023. Jack is better versed, better prepared, and better tempered than any other resident in our city to captain our ship. I entrust unto him and each of you a leadership team that has managed our finances judiciously, innovated limitlessly, and coalesced around the mission and vision that you and I have stewarded for our citizens. I leave you no admonishment or charge but the following. Remember our values. We take care of our people. We refuse to fail the heart of our city. And we will not be divided by forces of self-interest or political rancor that pull at political bodies. I trust you. I will miss being your colleague. And I am elated to be your partner in a new capacity. I'm forever committed to the service of you and our residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
With that, Mr. President, I believe it's incumbent upon the council to make a nomination.
Yes. Thank you for your comments, and congratulations from all of us on your appointment. You will be missed, but you set a good example for everybody on how the city should be run. First, I'll read the rules as the city clerk has prepared for me. Number one, anyone may be nominated for mayor. A council member may nominate himself or herself. No second is needed. After nominations are received, nominations will be closed. The vote will be called in order of nomination. When voting, the first to receive 3 votes will be elected mayor. Council members can only vote once and can vote for themselves. I'll now call for a motion and a second to adopt and accept the rules. Then I will call for a vote to accept the rules.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Blake, Ms. Jackson. We have a motion and a second to accept the rules. I will now call the motion. All those in favor of the rules as stated, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The chair votes aye. The rules are accepted by a vote of 5-0. I'll now call for the nominations for mayor.
Mr. President,
Yes,
I'd like to nominate John R. Heath to be mayor.
we have a motion to nominate John R. Heath for mayor. Do we have a second?
I second.
We have a motion by Mr. Boda and a second by Ms. Jackson to nominate Jack Heath for mayor. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, I'll call the motion. All those in favor of nominating Jack Heath for mayor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The chair votes aye. Okay. I would like to make a statement, if I could. When the mayor approached me for this, it was sort of out of the blue. And of course, he proceeded by telling me that he's leaving. But I thought about it, and I went home and discussed it with my wife. And I went over where we've been in the last 8 years. And I will tell you, and this is honest, if we didn't have the council that we have, and we didn't have the leadership and the staff that we have, and if we didn't have a plan, I would not have accepted this position. But we do have those things. And I look forward to carrying the message forward, always putting, and I promise this, the good of the citizens of Salisbury as our deciding factor if we do or we don't do something. So, thank you. Thank you, council. Now, because of what we talked about, I will announce that I will resign my position as council president effective January 27th. At this point, right now, I will be stepping down. Obviously, there's going to be a vacancy in the council president's position, and we're going to have an election. But first, I have to read the rules, which, as you'll hear, are very similar to the rules I just read. But I have to do it, otherwise the attorney's going to get mad at me. Any council member may be nominated for president. A council member may nominate himself or herself. No second is needed. After nominations are received, nominations will be closed. The vote will be called in order of nomination. When voting, the first to receive 3 votes will be elected council president. Council members can only vote once and can vote for themselves. I'll call for a motion and a second to accept the rules as stated.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Gregory, Ms. Jackson. I'll now call the motion. All those in favor of accepting the rules as stated, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The chair votes aye. The rules are accepted by a vote of 5-0. I would like to nominate Mayor Boda for council president. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Everybody. Ms. Blake, we'll give it to you. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, I'll call the motion. All those in favor of Mayor Boda for council president, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The chair votes aye. Mayor Boda is elected council president by a vote of 5-0. At this time, I will vacate my chair and take a place as a council member until the 27th. Thank you.
Change your nameplates.
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 Oh, who's on first?
Some hair I have.
Well, a few things happening today in Salisbury. First, I want to thank my fellow council members for their confidence and their support over the past over 7 years. Been in this game now for almost 15 years, and never did I think I'd be sitting in this chair, and this is an honor. So, thank you. So, since that now that I am council president, there is a vacancy for council vice president. So I have to, as Jack stated, read the rules appropriately, or the attorney will be mad at me. So, number one, any council member may be nominated for vice president, except the president. A council member may nominate himself or herself. No second is needed. After nominations are received, nominations will be closed. The vote will be called in order of nomination. When voting, the first to receive 3 votes will be elected vice president. Council members can only vote once and can vote for themselves. So at this time, I'll call for a motion and a second to accept the rules.
So move.
Second.
And that was Ms. Gregory, I think, on the second. All those in favor of accepting the rules, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That is 5-0. At this time, I will open the floor for nominations for council vice president.
I'd like to nominate April Jackson for vice president of the council.
Do I have any other nominations? Hearing none, I will close the nominations, and we will go to a vote. All-
Second.
Oh, I need a second.
Second.
Oh, second. All right, we have a second. So now I will close the nominations. All those in favor of April Jackson as the city council vice president, please signify by saying aye,
Aye.
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Congratulations.
Do I have,
You don't have to.
I don't have to, but I will. Thank you, council members, for your support and encouraging me and keeping me on the straight and narrow, because it has been a challenge for me here lately. But I know that I can do that job, and I will do this job. And I thank you. And Mayor, I thank you so much for everything that you've instilled in us. Thank you. Thank you. And you too, Jack, the father of the crew.
All right, at this time, we will go to administration comments.
The only thing I would say is that we've got a little time now before 6 o'clock. I do welcome everyone to stick around at 6 o'clock in this room. There will be a press conference. Media will be here, and feel free to mill about the building, wander around, go, sign off on some permits, help Jennifer down in procurement. All kidding aside, at 6 o'clock, we'll hold that press conference right here in this room. Feel free to leave and come back. We'll make sure that the doors remain open to the building. And it will be also televised, PAC 14 and on Facebook Live. So if you don't want to stick around, you don't have to. Anything else you want to add?
Before I get to council comments, I wanted to recognize a couple of people in the audience. We have former Senator Jim Mathias. Thanks for being here this evening. And we have Wacomico County Administrator Bunky Luffman is here as well. So thank you, Bunky, for being here. We'll go to council.
NAACP acting president too.
Who's that?
NAACP acting president, Monica.
She is the president, Monica Brooks.
yeah.
Is she here?
She is.
Oh,
there.
there's Monica. And Monica, my friend Monica Brooks.
Murray.
Yeah. Monica, who's the NAACP president. Thank you for coming. And former NAACP president Mary Ashanti is here as well. Thank you, Mary. So we'll go to council comments. Start with Michelle.
Start with me this time. That's
Yeah.
interesting. Okay. Wow. I'm not sure I can add to more to what has already been said, but Mayor, we're going to miss you. And we know you will continue to fight the good fight in Annapolis. And we expect you to be as loud as humanly possible for us down here on the shore. And I know you will do that.
Got it.
So thank you. And yeah, that's.
Ditto to what Michelle has said. We will miss you, Mayor. A whole lot. But we have a great person to fill your shoes, Jack Heath. So that's one good thing. It's going to be different, but we're going to get the job done. I can guarantee you it will be done. We have done great so far, and there's no need of us continuing to do what we need to do for our constituents in our city. So, constituents, citizens, residents, we are all here for you every step of the way. So, if you ever need us, we're here for you. Thank you.
Mr. Heath?
I like this seat. It's a lot less pressure. So I'm going to enjoy it for 7 days. It's been a hectic week and a half, and
It is.
I look forward to what's coming in the future. I haven't comprehended the whole thing yet, but I made my statement before, and I'll stand by it. And thank you all for coming tonight.
Blake?
Wow, what an evening. It is truly with the deepest appreciation for all your service for the city of Salisbury and its citizens. I want you to know that Salisbury is certainly a better place to live, work, and play, all due directly to your dedication and your talents. Salisbury is forever, forever grateful to have you as a mayor. And having said that, I really feel very confident with the team that we have in place to move forward. And if you're healthy enough, please donate blood.
I forgot that.
Please donate blood.
Thank you. Ditto what everyone has said here, Mr. Mayor, and, you expect inappropriate memes and texts from me occasionally, and I just remember on our balance of where you buy dinner sometimes, I buy dinner sometimes, so the next one is your turn. It's going to happen in Annapolis. Noted. No, but seriously, my friend, thank you for what you've done for our city and what you're going to do for our state. So we're very proud of you. Thank you. So with that, we are adjourned.